Hello, hello, beautiful souls. So I was in the middle of making a video about suffering, and my phone, I guess, was suffering too much, as it's like really hot here in Florida right now. So it shut off, which I find very interesting. So I'm going to talk about that for a little bit, and then I'll get back into what I was saying before it shut off. So, just this experience could be used as an example, right? I was in the middle of making a video, I was hitting the flow, getting my points out, and then my phone shut off, which, a past version of me somewhere is probably screaming and throwing her phone at the wall. But, that version of me would have probably taken it personally, like, oh, the universe is trying to hurt me or something, instead of it just being like, the phone is too hot. It has nothing to do with you. I mean, I guess, you could take the phone out of the heat, film earlier in the morning, something like that. But, to suffer over it seems like it would be a silly thing to do. Although I can totally see little Lisa really getting down on that. The other thing that you could choose to suffer about is the fact that it's hot. The weather is kind of neutral. I mean, it really is neutral. I have a hard time with natural disasters and stuff because those clearly are very much devastation involved oftentimes. But as far as today's rainy, today's really hot, a lot of the times with those things, we're adding extra suffering into our life. I could have chose to suffer because my phone turned off and I didn't get to finish my thoughts. I could have chose to suffer because it's so hot outside. Why is it so hot? But you see, these are things that I have no control over. So what stories am I telling myself that would create that to create suffering, right? When really I can look at it well, it's just too hot for the phone. We can move inside and finish. And, I don't know. I really like the heat. It's the cold that I don't really prefer. But even with cold, I'm trying to embrace it more, be grateful that my body is keeping me warm in this cold. So maybe that's where you can go if you're really not liking the heat. At least my body, my sweat is keeping me cool. There's shade to shelter from it, we can tell ourselves different stories that will create much less suffering in our lives. But anywho, welcome to part 2. If you missed part 1, you can check it out. It's the same date as today. And I think the title is Want to End Your Suffering or something like that. But basically what we were talking about was different things that create mental suffering. Of course, if you are having physical suffering, go try and figure that out with a doctor, a physician. Even though a lot of the times our physical suffering are linked to our loops of mental suffering. If you've suffered in the same way for many, many years, then it turns into dis-ease or disease. So a lot of our physical suffering actually transpires due to our mental awareness and suffering. So what I was talking about when I got cut off by the universe, which we could really be mad about, but we're choosing not to, right? Because it's not in our control, was rejection. And the suffering that rejection causes is pretty profound. There's a lot of fear of abandonment, fear of getting rejected, which if you're scared to be yourself because you're scared other people aren't going to like you, you are abandoning yourself for those other people. And eventually, the suffering will get to a point where you just can't anymore. So if you can, stop caring about, I'm not saying don't care about other people, like care about other people, but care about yourself just as much. Like, you matter too, right? So with rejection, there is in order to be rejected by others, well, I guess that's not necessarily true, because people can reject you while you're still holding yourself, and that's okay. You won't suffer. You wouldn't suffer if you're holding your own soul, your own presence, your own being, and you know that that's who you are meant to be, and you're being that. Other people's opinions won't affect you because you're so strong in your own frame, right? But whenever we get rejected by others and we can feel it, that suffering that comes with it, it's because parts of us have been rejecting ourselves in order to please them. So I say all of this, and there's many other ways too, I'm sure, that I haven't gotten into about suffering. But if you want to stop the suffering, if you would like to suffer less, there are things that you can do. And it takes time, because all of this suffering that we've been accumulating, for me it was like 35 years was my breaking point. And I was at a point where I just, the pain was too much. I could not stand any more pain. I didn't want to hurt anyone, but I was feeling like I needed to hurt someone, right? So I reached out, got into therapy, started that, doing a lot of online research about mental health, basically just rewiring my brain little bit by little bit. The point here is that it does take time. 35 years of suffering isn't just gonna switch and be different overnight. It's repetition, it's consistency, it's showing up for yourself consistently, all the time, every day. It's a daily practice, bringing awareness into your body. So some practical things that can help with that are meditations. You could do yoga. You can sit out and watch nature. I know for me, whenever I first heard meditations, it was oh, that sounds so boring. I can't do it. My mind won't be still. I'll do it wrong. I like to meditate with my eyes open, which is something that I've been self-conscious about in the past, but now I just let it rip. Don't be scared of meditation. Whatever way you're doing it is perfect for you, and it will evolve, and you'll get better at it, just like anything else. Whenever I first started, it was I couldn't. There were thoughts. But the idea is, yeah, we're having thoughts. The people like myself who really needed the meditation were just overwhelmed by thoughts, So the first step in that is to observe them. What are these thoughts, Without judgment, without criticism, without believing them, without not believing them. They just are, right? You're observing them. You're watching them come, watching them go, and then you bring it back to your breath. And the more that you do that, it's the thoughts kind of dissipate eventually. But also, when you're observing your thoughts, you can be oh, I just called myself an ass fuck, oh, I'm bashing myself all day. A lot of us do this day in and day out and don't even realize it. We don't realize that we're being so mean to ourselves. Meaner than we would ever think about being to anybody else. Why we do this? I don't really know. It's the conditioning and the crap beliefs that we have. Thinking we must be perfect in every way to be here. But Like just observing those thoughts, being aware of which thoughts are coming into your mind frequently. That's the first step, being aware. So like whenever I did this, I was in therapy, and it became evident very quickly that I like internally hated myself. Like nothing I could do was ever good enough. Like even if I did something great, I couldn't take the praise for it. I wouldn't definitely not praise myself. And I was just really, really mean to myself. Like, so I noticed, and then slowly but surely, the thought would come in, and I would like visualize a stop sign. That's what the therapist had told me to do. And then you just kind of question that thought. Like, hey, I just told myself I suck. Do I really suck? Or did I just learn something? You know, mistakes are not bad. They are learning opportunities. So if you can switch that word, I made a mistake, or I had an opportunity to learn and grow, like the way that we speak changes things. It changes the way we feel. It changes us on a cellular level. It changes the way the universe perceives things. So, you know, switching that mistake to a learning opportunity has been a big shift that I've made. But just being aware of all the negative thoughts, the negative trains that run through my mind, and then, you know, just questioning them. Is this really true? Like, some of the thoughts are true, and yes, you may need to work on some things, right? Become aware of why we're doing things that we don't really prefer to be doing. But most of them, I'd say 99% of our negative thoughts are definitely not true. And they can be questioned. And then once you question it and you prove it wrong, it kind of like loses some of its charge. Like if you can find things like, I suck, right? Well, you know, in this situation, and this situation, I didn't suck. So it's not like I always suck. Like what's going on today that made me less, you know, great or whatever? Or what help do I need to reach out for to gain the tools that I need to do this particular thing, right? It's not about you sucking. But if we're constantly telling ourselves that we suck, then we believe that. If we're constantly telling ourselves that we're amazing and divine, guess what happens? You start to believe it. So why on earth would we be telling ourselves that we suck? Like, it makes no sense. So yeah, meditation, yoga, slowing down, getting back into your body, being present. Like, being present is so important. Because if you bring yourself back to the present moment, normally there's not something that's really that awful going on. Normally, whenever we're in the present moment, feeling sad about the past or anxious about the future, we are not in the present moment. We're thinking about the past or we're thinking about the future. And if we bring ourselves back to the present moment, realize that in this moment we are safe and we are actually okay, then you can deal with your thoughts about the past or the future and make a better, calm decision on your next movement. Like if it was something from the past that's got you sad, maybe rewriting that narrative, looking at the story that you're telling yourself about it. Like let's say you felt rejected by one of your friends because they didn't respond to you. All right? And you're really sad about that. You're feeling that. So you bring yourself into this moment, like I am here, I am now. This is here. Where is it in my body? What does it feel like? What does it want to tell me? Well, it feels like I'm being mistreated by this person because they are not responding to me. Well, what are other options? You know, what are some other things that could be going? Maybe your friend had a death in the family that they're doing something with. Maybe your friend isn't okay, and is in solitude trying to regain their peace. Maybe your friend got into an accident, is in a hospital. Like, it probably has nothing to do with you. So the more stories that you can come up with, maybe your friend is on vacation, having the time of their life. That's a more happy story, right? We don't want our friends in the hospital either. But a lot of the times the suffering comes because we're like, oh, they didn't respond. There must be something wrong with me, right? We get rejected. Oh, they don't like me. There must be something wrong with me. No, it's not that. There's nothing wrong with you. It's just that that connection isn't in alignment right now, really. So move on to where it feels better. That's your action. Feel into the body, be in the now. Meditation and yoga help with that so much. Really, that's it. Like, being true to yourself. Who are you? What are you doing? Why are you doing it? What are you being like? Yeah. So you got to question them thoughts that are trying to tell you you're something that you're not. That's why you feel like crap, is because you're believing thoughts that are telling you something that you're not. They're telling you that you're something awful, when in reality you are like amazing. You have all of this power, and yet we give it away. So that's all these emotions are trying to do, is help you take back your power, put it back in here where it belongs. I really hope this helps. Thank you for listening. Bye.